Chapter 10 The Light Reawakens. Santa Fe, New Mexico, April 19th, 2025. The late afternoon light streamed through the wide windows of Pamela's adobe house, casting golden lines across the hardwood floor. Lucas and Peanut dozed by the fireplace. Pamela and Leah sat cross-legged on the rug, papers and printed pages spread out around them like the petals of an unfolding flower. "So we agree," Pamela said, brushing her fingers across the page. "The original codex is in Rome, hidden, protected, probably with the one cardinal Francis trusted above all." Leah nodded. "That's why we only have the translation, the Pope's personal copy, but even that, this is extraordinary." Pamela leaned forward. "Extraordinary doesn't begin to cover it. This section, look here, this is where Gamaliel and Philo explain that Mary Magdalene wasn't just a companion of Jesus the Nazarene. She was the daughter of Jerusalem, the living vessel of Inyana's light. And that Jesus the Nazarene," Leah added, pointing to another passage, "wasn't crucified to satisfy divine wrath. He offered his life to save his mother, and then returned to be wed to the daughter, triumphant before the cross." "A wedding, not an execution," Pamela said, her voice hushed. "Mark's gospel hid it in plain sight. Mark cries out in Hebrew, not Aramaic, because it wasn't a cry of despair. It was a ritual invocation to El and Ella." Leah's eyes were wide. "Betula M. Magdalene, daughter Jerusalem." They layered the names on purpose, so those with eyes to see could follow the thread. Pamela nodded. "And the thread leads back not just to Jerusalem, but to Venus, to Inyana, Kesar, Ishtar, the lineage of light." They sat in silence, the gravity of the discovery hanging in the room. "Do you ever wonder," Leah said finally, "why Pope Francis didn't just publish this himself?" Pamela looked toward the fire. "Because he knew it would be destroyed. He knew the only way to protect the truth was to entrust it to people outside the system. To us." Leah looked down at the passage she'd highlighted. Gamaliel said, "Let the star be in plain sight." The Star of Bethlehem wasn't a comet. It was Venus. Pamela stood and crossed to the window, gazing out at the sun setting over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. "They encoded all of it, and now we're decoding it, thanks to Philo." Leah joined her. "What happens when we publish our book?" Pamela turned. "We won't be alone. Francis trusted someone to safeguard the original. If the church tries to bury the truth again, they'll have to answer to him." They returned to their work, piecing together the hidden gospel, drawing from the memory of ancient stars, the whispers of Nazarenes, and the echoes of the Pope's final act of faith. They worked late into the next day, pages growing thicker with annotations, doubts running into affirmations. But by the second morning, the world had shifted. On the final page they'd read before sleep, a Nazarene scribe had written, "The wedding is still to come." The following morning, they woke up to the news that Pope Francis had died. Pamela knew who was calling when the phone rang. "Did you hear where he asked to be laid to rest?" Leah asked. "No surprise, at least not to us." Pamela zipped her coat. "I think we need to speed up our work. He left us with a huge assignment. The sooner we get it published, the better, especially for us." Leah frowned. "Do you think we're in danger?" "We're about to upset a lot of powerful people, and not just in the Vatican. Massive fortunes rely on the belief in the fallacy of vicarious atonement." Leah sat in silence for a moment. "I'm having a hard time letting it go myself," she said softly. "I was raised to believe in salvation by the blood of Jesus." She took out her phone. "I asked AI for help. Let me read you what she says. No causal framework in physics allows for moral transference through biological death. That belongs to theology or metaphor, not science. Forgiveness and atonement are non-material constructs. They cannot be mapped onto thermodynamic or quantum states. While quantum mechanics allows for entanglement, where particles can affect each other at a distance, this does not apply to abstract concepts like sin or redemption. No quantum state collapse occurs due to an individual's moral behavior or biological death. Entanglement is physical and statistical, not ethical or spiritual. In the universe of physics, no death rewinds time or nullifies prior moral or physical consequence. Physics does not define sin. Moral judgments arise from psychology, sociology, philosophy, and religion. Even if Jesus was sinless in a theological sense, his death has no observable impact on the neurological, emotional, or behavioral states of others unless interpreted symbolically. From a scientific and physical point of view, the idea that Jesus' death atoned for humanity's sin has no observable mechanism, no causal pathway, and no compatibility with any law of nature. It cannot occur in this universe as a literal event with real-world ethical consequence, any more than one person's heartbeat can erase another's past decisions. However, as a mythopoetic symbol, a story of self-sacrifice inspiring inner transformation, the narrative may have powerful psychological, communal, and spiritual resonance, but this belongs to narrative truth, not physical reality. Leah stared at the phone. Then slowly she set it down. I think I needed to hear that, she whispered. I just wish someone had explained that to me sooner. Chapter 11. The Council of Shadows. Vatican Conference Chamber, Vatican City, April 22nd, 2025. A cold spring rain streaked the stone arches of the Vatican's inner court as the cardinals gathered in the dimly lit chamber beneath the apostolic palace. They stood around a long, polished table, the air thick with incense and unease. Cardinal Ventresca was the first to speak. We waited. We watched. The women are working long hours to write a book to expose the Codex. They have the translation, Cardinal Lucian said bitterly. Francis always had a weakness for outsiders. He believed truth belonged to the margins. We let him get too far. Now we have to stop the publication. They don't have the original, Cardinal Mancini interjected. That's still here, where it belongs, hidden, safe. We just don't know where. But the translation will be enough to shake the foundation, Ventresca said. This isn't just heresy, it's insurrection. If they succeed, it won't just be theology that falls apart, it's the power structure. We can't use violence, said Bellini. Murder would only make them martyrs. Agreed, Ventresca said. But perhaps there's another way. He opened a folder and slid a photo onto the table. Pamela, walking her dogs in Santa Fe Plaza. Lucas and Peanut trotting beside her. They have no children. The old woman has a husband, but he's old too. And these dogs are like children to childless couples. Steal them. Threaten their lives if the women move forward. That will break them. They'll go to the police, Lucian objected. Ventresca shook his head. And say what? That their dogs were taken by the Vatican to stop them from publishing a book? The police will laugh them out the door. That's the beauty of it. Dogs don't matter to anyone but their owners. Silence fell over the room. Do it, Cardinal Mancini said at last. We can't allow that book to be published. I'll make the call to Albuquerque, Ventresca said. We'll find someone local, a man and a woman. She'll befriend them, gain their trust. Then, when the moment is right, they vanish, Bellini finished. And the women will receive a message. If they want the dogs back alive, they will relinquish every copy of the translation. The plan was set. The Codex would not be exposed. Not a fear could silence truth. And as the rain drummed steadily against the stained glass above them, the cardinals offered a silent prayer, not for mercy, but for success. Not for grace, but for silence.